Welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I'm your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And tonight, we have a very special guest. This basketball head is a legend in two cities, Savannah, Georgia, and New York City. He started at Peabody High School in Eastman, Georgia, before moving on to attend Savannah State, where he averaged an astonishing 28 points, 14 rebounds per game. He also was voted first team all-conference. After graduating in 1969, he played professionally in Spain from 1965 to 1967, before returning home to play in the ABA in 67 to 71. That's 1967 to 1971. He finished his career at Hamden Bix of the Eastern League from 1971 to 73. When the game was over, as my sponsor Eric Hicks would say, he began to coach high school basketball from 1982 to 87 as freshman head coach and varsity assistant at Oyster Bay High School. Once his final season was done at Oyster Bay in 87, he began a legendary run at John F. Kennedy High School, where he racked up third most winning head coach in the PSL history behind Ron DeClario and the late, great Chuck Granby. This basketball head also would win 2 city championships, 14 Bronx Borough championships, New York City Coach of the Year in 2005, Bronx Coach of the Year 5 times. If you don't know who run the Bronx by now you know. With 15 players going Division I, he also coached in the Boston Shootout, the city games, the youth games, and who can forget the Wheelchair Classic. This basketball head is so great that he made his legendary status in the Bronx, but he's in the Brooklyn Hall of Fame. Go figure. Without further ado, help me welcome to the show New York City legend, John F. Kennedy head coach, Johnny Mathis.
Y'all ready? Yes. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos, where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
Hey, Coach.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction.
Thank you. Listen, I had to make it right because I know all the hard work that you put in. I forgot some things because your resume is very long. So I tried to make sure I got the most important things in there. And man, I'm glad to have you on the show. So welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes. Can you see me? You see me good? I'm good? I'm clear?
Yeah.
Good. So, Coach, I want to get right to it because you get a lot of love in the city. And when I told people I was having you on, they was just blown. I'm talking about their minds were blown. From New York City to Boston, okay? I have a few guys out there that follow me in Boston. They was like, wow, I remember him coaching the Boston Shootout. Okay? And that says a lot from people that's all the way in Boston, remembering you on the sidelines doing your thing. So salute to you.
Great times in Boston.
Yes. So, Coach, I like to ask everyone when they come on the show, who introduced you to the game?
Well, I started basically a long time ago myself in my hometown. We had we didn't have a gym, we had a dirt court.
Right.
So I started playing myself outside. And as I progressed and I grew up, by then a high school coach. And then as I came to New York, I met a lot of guys, and as I came,
we gonna slow down, Coach, because you jumping over a few things. Because I'm looking at a younger you at Savannah State. I'm saying, I know he was down there getting buckets. Okay.
No, I had a great career at Savannah State. I had a good career. I played with a great team. I played with the Chicago 5, who was like 92-12 in 4 years.
Wow.
We won the NAIA, went to Kansas City for 3 years. And then after they left, I was fortunate enough to be one of the first guards. I was a big guard at that time, about 6'5", 6'6" guard in college. And that was mainly because of who started. But when I was like 14, Rucker told me, he said, listen, God's going to be your size one day. So after that, I started to learn the dribble. So my last 2 years in college, I was able to play backcourt.
Wow, that's great. Look, I'm telling you, you know how sometimes you can do the eye test, Coach, you know, and it don't work all the time, right? Because I don't want everybody to think you can do the eye test and just look at somebody and tell you can ball. But when I saw that picture of your younger self, I said, man, I know he was down there giving people problems. For sure. So how was life for you as a youngster growing up in Savannah, Georgia?
Well, I had to go back. And really, I grew up in Eastman, Georgia. And then
Eastman, okay.
I went to Peabody High School in Eastman.
Right.
Okay? In Eastman, it was rough because, see, we was during the Jim Crow time. During Jim Crow, we didn't have no gym. At Peabody, it was segregation at that time. So at Peabody, we had no gym. So all our game was played outside. And only time I ever played an indoor game is when I went to Fort Valley or Gray or Perry or out of town. So throughout my high school career, all my game was played outdoors. And that was because of Jim Crow during the segregation era. The blacks, we had no gym. It was gyms in the county, but we didn't have one.
That's wow. You guys played all of your home games outside?
Yeah, my whole high school career was outside at home.
Wow. This is like, for me, for a young guy like me, I grew up in New York City, you know, right after the whole Jim Crow era. So hearing that, it seems unfathomable. But I know you went through it and it made you a hell of a player. And it let you know, being a youngster, you saw that there were two Americas at that time. Definitely. Wow. So, what would you say that you was you picked up the game quick, or was you like a late bloomer?
No, I slowly picked it up. I slowly picked it up because I always would work hard. And I also, during this time in my hometown, I built my own basket. So we had somewhere to play outside. We made our own park until I went to school. Then when I went to college, Savannah State. But in the meantime, in the summer, like in 58, 59, I came to New York for the first time. And when I came to New York, like the 14 or 15-year-old division, before I went to high, I played in the Rucker. This one, the Rucker was on 127th Street, not 155th Street. I played in the 14-year-old division there, my first year up here. And that made
How was that experience? How was that experience for you? How was that experience for you?
Oh, it was outstanding. Oh, Lord. It made me, that's when I come back to live in New York. I went back and told my mother I had to live in New York. I had to come back. So through her blessing, and she made sure I got back to New York, and I came back the following summer. And I've been coming back ever since.
So at that time, you come to New York City, who was the best player that you saw?
At that time, the biggest guy was like Connie, and in high school, it was Connie Hawkins. Connie Hawkins, and then the biggest name during that time in the Rucker was like Satch was a huge name, Satch Sanders.
Tad Sanders, yes,
There were a
yes.
lot of guys at that time. You had Cleo Hill that was in the Rucker. You had quite a few guys that was big names. Old timers, Clinton Hill, old timers that was in the Rucker. The Czar, I don't know if you ever heard of
Yes.
Czar Simmons. Guys
Yes.
like Czar Simmons. They was playing, and these are the guys, was the older guys at that time that was playing in the Rucker. But Connie was one of the huge names.
So Connie Hawkins was like the guy you looked up to.
I looked up to all guys at that time because it was like new to me. It was new. It was new. Because these are some of the guys I had saw in a magazine while I was in the South. And then I come to New York, then I see these guys.
What was the difference in the racial tensions from coming from Savannah to up to New York? What was the difference?
What was you say that again? I can hear.
What was the difference? What was the difference in you coming to New York and the racial prejudices that was you faced in Savannah, then you coming to New York? Were they the same or were they different?
It was a whole different world. Different world up here. I mean, everything was integration, and I mean, you could go anywhere, go in any store. In my hometown, you couldn't go into restaurants. You had to go to the back. You had to, if you wanted the food, you had to go to the back of the restaurant. You had to go to the back of the bus. You had to go to the back of everything. So you couldn't go. This was a whole new world coming to New York.
And I think this is good for youngsters to hear because, you know, having a legendary coach like that, come from New York City, where you moved here, but you come from Savannah and you walked and you've seen that life. So now you're able to translate this into guys like myself and pass this down to younger generations because we're about to enter Black History Month tomorrow.
You never know. I definitely, during my time at Kennedy, every year I bring up Jim Crow and ask my players to write something about it so they can learn about it. Always, each year. That's
wow. You're a walking, living testament, Coach.
No.
Definitely. So who was your toughest competition when you came up to New York? Because I know you was killing everybody down in Savannah. Now, not knocking the guys down in Georgia. But who was some of your toughest competition that made you say you had to come back to New York?
No, a lot of guys can play up here. So a lot of guys. I mean, there's a lot of guys could play like at that time there was a guy in the Bronx, Leroy Watson.
Yes.
Tough player. Because I was friends with like Willie Cajun, Never Shed, come up with these guys from their El Paso crew. We all come up playing together.
So that crew that won the championship you talking about, the Texas El Paso crew that went down, that was coached by Don Haskins.
Yeah, Willie Cajun and Never Shed.
Yes, Willie Cage from DeWitt Clinton. Yes.
Yes, they were all in our circle that we come up with playing together in the Bronx.
Wow.
We all come up together, guys like Miles Dortch, who went to Hayes, and who else? We had Ernie Brown. We had quite a few guys. And then after that, we made a different thing because we all stayed together so long. Then when we played in the Pro Rucker, we had basically the same team. A lot of the same guys. And the Pro Rucker, then we included Tiny. We always had Tiny Archibald, who played with us. So we would come up playing with some tough guys. And
did y'all lose? With the guys you was playing with, did you guys lose?
Oh no, it was tough competition during that time. I mean, I think it was 67, 68. We won. But then, because Teddy Jones, I don't know if you ever heard of Teddy Jones. Teddy Jones had tough teams in the city. New York had tough teams because Brooklyn had tough teams, and then you had Jersey. See, at that time, if you think about it, at that time, guys wasn't playing, jumping from team to team. Guys stayed with their boroughs or stayed with their teams. So, oh, that was a tough team. We had a very good team now. We had a good team. I think the one year that we had Nate Archibald in the backcourt and Austin Carr. We had, and then one year we had Dave Collins with us in the Rucker. We had Marvin Roberts, I don't know if you know Marvin, with the Utah, out of
Right.
Brooklyn. We had some nice guys. I've been around some nice players during my time.
Man, legendary, telling you. So you get back to Peabody. I know you destroyed because you coming back to New York and you're going back home with new skills, new moves. What was the recruiting process for you? Like when you got back home your senior year?
You hit it on the nail there. I had to go back home, and it was like incredible telling these stories. We would be standing out in the street, out on the street, like we were no blocks out on the street, and we would talk late. I would tell them these stories, and because see, most of these guys in the same magazine that we be buying down south and reading about, and I had been with these guys, so that was the greatest thing for me. And
wow!
so especially when I first saw Connie, when I saw the Hawk, I thought it was outstanding, and saw Roger and these guys.
Roger Brown from Wingate, right? Roger Brown from Wingate.
Queens, just to see him play.
You talking about Roger Brown from Wingate, correct?
Yes. But Roger was in there. Roger was in the ABA when I was in there.
Wow.
Roger Brown, yeah.
So what was the recruiting process like? Because you ended up at Savannah State. Who else was recruiting you?
Really, not really nobody. Not really anybody recruited me. I sort of made myself and got myself in school. I've been sort of like self-made throughout my career. When I went in there, I made the team and was very successful at Savannah State. I didn't get drafted out of Savannah State, but I made myself drafted. I mean, I got myself in camp. I got myself with the Pistons and was able to go I went through exhibition season with the Pistons. And I think if I wouldn't have had the ABA tag with me, I would have stayed with them. But it was a great experience. But
Coach, I'm telling you, today, you averaged 28 and 14. They would have been knocking at your door like, sir, NBA doors this way.
Now, plus, I think one thing, I'm not patting myself on the back, praise your own pond, but one thing I could do that they do now at my size, 6'6", I could play 2 or 3 positions. See, I couldn't shoot a 3, but I could play 2 or 3 positions.
Well, there was no 3-pointers back then. What?
No, there was no 3-pointers. Not with
right. So trust me, your game with a transition, 6'5" guard, like myself, 6'6", play guard. So I know that transition and how they play now would have been great for us. Especially a guy like yourself averages 28, 14. I never averaged 14 rebounds ever. Okay.
I always was versatile. I always could play and had double stats. Most places I played, when I played in Easter League, I was always in top in most divisions in assists, rebound, and scoring.
Wow.
About my career.
So, was the transition hard for you from high school to college?
No. I just, because I love to play, and I used to play all the time. I did that practice and work out all the time. I didn't put nothing else in front of me but a basketball, so that was it.
Hey, this changed a lot of our lives. That's right.
Yeah.
So, did you run into anybody in college who we probably know about or heard about, but when you faced them, there was a totally different story because they had to go against you now?
Did I say that again? I couldn't hear you.
I said, who was the players that you played against in college, right? Because I know you went to HBCU. Were there other schools that you guys played against that were in your conference?
Yeah, we played against Xavier. I mean, Southern. We played against Grambling. Willis Reed was at Grambling. And we played against Southern. We beat both of them on a weekend on a Christmas holiday in 1960.
Wow.
When Willis was a freshman, that's how I got to know Willis. Beat him at Xavier University in 1960.
Okay. Right, right. I think Willis we were with the Creighton, correct? Or Grambling?
He was a freshman that year, my freshman year too.
Got you, got you, got you. So how did you guys do while you was at Savannah?
My first 2 years, we had outstanding years because we always went to the NIA, the championship in Kansas City. These guys were very good. Most of them was out of Chicago. I was on a player that was there playing, and most of them was out of Chicago. One guy was out of Edmond Mills, Indiana. He was called the Chicago Five. They was outstanding. They was like, I think 92-12 or something, 92-14 in 4 years. So every year we went to the championship in Kansas City each year. We had great championship years. We either beat like team like Florida A&M and those type of teams to go to the championship. Bethune-Cookman and those type of schools. So we had good years down there.
And then you wound up going overseas for a couple of years, correct?
Oh yeah, and then I went to Spain. I went to Spain for 2 years. I went to Spain for
I
2
thought that was
years.
very interesting because I had Kim Hampton up here from the WNBA. Kim Hampton from the New York Liberty.
Right.
I had her up here, and she played overseas for 14 years, and she picked up 4 or 5 different languages. I heard that you're fluent in Spanish.
Oh, I can speak a little Spanish. Hablo un poco, but I had a great time over there. I learned because it was a great situation to learn because my coach spoke only Spanish. Everybody in the town spoke Spanish. So 1-2, I don't know if you heard of Bobby Williams, because I went over with Bobby Williams from Fourth Foundation. God bless you, Dad.
Okay.
I went over with Bobby Williams. At the time I went over, it wasn't about 5 or 6 guys in Europe at that time. Senator Bradley was over in Simmenthal, I think it was Simmenthal, and a guy named Ira Hodge was up in Barcelona. It wasn't about 5 or 6 guys over there at that time.
So you was only one of 5 or 6 guys from America playing basketball overseas.
At that time. Wasn't a lot of guys over there at that time.
Wow.
Wasn't a lot of guys. And Bobby and myself was there, and Bobby had been over the year before, and then Bobby brought me over with him. So I was there 2 years. I stayed until I saw the thing with the ABA.
And you came back after the 2 years because you was interested about getting into the NBA, I guess, and going through the ABA first?
Going to the ABA, I saw the NBA, yes.
How was that experience? And what was the beef between the ABA and the NBA? Because you said you had that ABA tag on you. So the NBA didn't take you serious.
ABA players into the NBA. They had that war, and they weren't taking any players at that time. And I think they hurt myself and a couple of other guys who had tried to make the jump. Because Donnis Butcher, I don't know if you know him, they had asked me to come back out to Detroit. And they carried me through to exhibition season. And I had a great exhibition season. Because I was out there, I know you might know, a couple of these guys. God bless the dead. Vaughn Hopper was out there with me. Vaughn and Jackie Wilson from Brooklyn.
Wow. These guys legendary.
It was out there. We was all out there together in camp. And every time Jimmy Walker and Dave Bing was out there.
Jimmy Walker's Jalen Rose dad. I've been hearing a lot of people mention him on here. Say he was a very good player.
An outstanding player. He had that spin down pat. He definitely could spin on you, roll on you, and lay it up.
Ooh, bad boy. Yeah. Wow. What was the difference for you going from college and playing the pro basketball? Because you was over in Spain, and now you come back to America to play in the NBA.
I didn't have any trouble. I mean, I didn't make no trouble in terms of adjusting. It was just another basketball game to me. I used to just because I always just work so hard. So I was ready for anywhere I had to go play. I was ready for that adjustment.
Coach, listen, I interview a lot of guys, and I always ask the transition question because guys and females got to know on each level you got to kind of start over, right? So when I hear you talk about your transition, it was like it was the basketball. I just moved to the next level.
Well, it could have been because she always had so much experience. I had experience here in the city because we always played against older guys. You always was playing. Always played against older time. I don't know if you ever heard it at PS18. We used to have a run there back in the 60s where all the older guys, the pros, a guy like Hap Harrison, when they came home from the NBA, just when they worked out, the Willie Halls, all these type of guys, all kind of guys. I mean, I had played against guys like Wilt and the Rucker. I played against all kind of guys. So when we go play in these different places, the adjustment wasn't difficult.
Yeah, that's amazing. Guys go from, and girls, one level to the next. I was talking to Terrence Rencher, and he was talking about his transition from high school, being Mr. Basketball in New York State, and then going to Texas and being the all-time leader scorer in Texas, and then going to the NBA, and he had a hard time adjusting because he had to start from the back and work his way up to the front when he was just usually always up in the front. So hearing how you were able to transition, this is awesome to hear.
No, I mean, for some reason, I always had great situations. I mean, had great games. Even in, I recall my first, I think it was an exhibition game I had against the Bullets down in some parts of Maryland. I had like 6 rebounds, 6 points, 10. I had a triple, 6 or 6 or 7, something like that. So I had never had a problem, really. I always just played.
Filling up the stat sheet.
I just loved to play. So I don't know. I don't know what nervous. Never was nervous.
So now that you bringing your pro career has come to an end, and now you're making another transition in your life. From being a baller to being a coach. What made you want to get into coaching?
Well, I was sitting I think I used to sit and watch TV and be like a Monday morning football, complaining and talking this and saying this. I decided, and I was sitting watching TV one night, and I said, I'm going to try it. I think I could do just as well as everybody else. And then I started to reach out and try to get into it. And then I reached out, and a couple of guys tried to get jobs. I couldn't get the job. Then I got reached out to Jerry Powell. I don't know if you know Jerry Powell. I reached out to him, and he gave me a 9th grade job and assistant to him at Oyster Bay. And I started out there. But before that, I had started the Johnny Mathis All-Stars. I used to have 4 teams, in which I was coaching 4 teams in the Rucker and boys, yesterday, all the different tournaments. I'll be going from pillar to post all day long with 4 different teams, coaching them. So I actually started there, and then I went to high school.
Well, that's great training grounds right there, playing in the playgrounds. And I want to bring up something that you mentioned earlier as far as playing with the older guys. I don't know how many guys came on here and said the same thing. It was like a rite of passage to play with the older guys. And then you can see how your game translates.
Right.
So crazy. So crazy. So now you're at Oyster Bay. You make it happen. You're with the freshman team, and you're assistant to the varsity team. When did you decide to say, you know what? I need my own island?
Well, Oyster Bay became available, and I thought I could get Oyster Bay, and I didn't get it. They gave it to the JV coach, God bless their Coach Robinson, and at that time, I thought I should get my own job. And at the same time, I was offered a job at Queensboro Community College as an assistant coach. And at the same time, the Kennedy job became available. So I had to make a decision. So I talked to some people and made a decision to take Kennedy than rather to go to the Queensboro as an assistant coach.
Wow.
And I went to Kennedy for an interview. And blessing that I got the job.
That job was made for you, Coach.
Well, you know, the funny thing about it, people say, Kennedy's a good job. Before I got the job, they just say, oh, they got all kind of players up there. You see, it is. And I think that through a blessing in God, you're right. He put me right there, put me in the middle of it, which was great.
Most guys in your position probably would take the college job because they probably been thinking, about that next job. Oh, I could go here and I could bounce springboard this to St. John's. Then I'll go to St. John's and go to Kentucky. Then I'll be at Duke.
Yeah,
right.
Think like that. Yeah,
but you made the right choice, Coach.
I don't know. Many years ago, I had an opportunity to offer a Division I job, but I didn't take it because I was still playing at that time. I was offered a Division I job at the University of Jacksonville with a guy, I don't know if you know, his son is a big time commentator, color commentator now, Bobby Gottlieb.
Okay, yeah. Jacksonville recruited me when I was coming out of high school.
Huh?
I said Jacksonville was recruiting me when I was coming out of high school, and my father was born down there.
Oh, okay. Well, I was offered a position there, and I didn't take it. I really didn't take it. Yeah, because I still wanted to play. I was very young at that time. I was 20-some years old. I wanted to still play.
Oh, okay, yeah. You was just hitting your prime right there.
Yeah.
So now you're at Kennedy. What were some of the key things you did to build that program? What were some of the key things you did to build that program to where it's at now?
Well, but the key was, like I said, always hard work. Well, we used to take them and work them year round almost. Start out working them year round. And after we started working them year round, after the first year, they started to catch on what we wanted to do. And I started having a little talent. We started to blossom there and started to win because the first year I was there, I was hard when we were like 4-16.
Woo!
And 4-16. Then the next year, we was like 13 and something, and then we were seeded 13. And by being seeded 13, we almost came in. We lost in the final 8 of the city that second year. So it gave us that momentum that we had a little legitimate chance to do something there. And after that, we just continued to work. And what we started to do that I think that was great, we started to keep up with our players year round. Because what I used to do at one time, I still had my teams, and I would pick a player from each team, the Mars or Clinton. And then I caught on that I need to take my own players, and I started taking my own players. And when I started taking my own players, that's when we start to become a powerhouse and start to win.
Right. So the key was, one of the key was to work with your kids year round.
Oh, yeah.
And stop taking other players because we looking at W's during the summer. But then you got smarts like, hold on, if I could build my team the same way I'm building other players from other teams, we're going to be really good.
Yeah, but the key, everybody that caught on now. Everybody caught on, so. But no,
That's right.
We was good for us for a while. We was very good in terms of keeping up with our players and keeping up with them after they finish. We do a good job with that, and we do a good job that we don't have nothing to give them while they're there, but we do promise that they'll go to school, or we'll get them a school, or offer them a school. That's something we've done all our career there. That we'll get you in school. If you don't play a minute, we'll get you in school. And that's been our track record.
That's one of the best contracts a high school player can ask for. If you don't even play a minute, I'm gonna get you in school. You come to practice every day, do what you need to do in the classroom, always be prepared, we'll get you to school.
Well,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Not too many coaches can say that. And you got a lot of winning programs in New York City, and a lot of their players who sit on the bench, or the last player is not going to college. If he is going to college, he's going to college on his own merit.
But what they don't understand, I guess what I learned over the years, and we all know this, that once that air go out that ball, a lot of people don't call you and don't know you. And see, that's what we bet on. That you can we'll still know you when it's 10 years after you graduate, and know what you're doing, how you doing, and when your birthday, how you doing on your birthday, or how you doing with your family, and such and such. So,
and this is
about knowing how to treat people.
Yeah, this is why my sponsor, Game Over, right? He grew up in the Bronx. Eric Hicks.
Okay.
Grew up in the Bronx, Co-op City, played at St. Bonaventure, but he knew one day the game was going to be over for him. So he created a basketball program. These are his trophies. This is his own trophies.
Okay.
He made. So if you see these trophies given out, black man made this from New York City.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, it's his own trophy, got his basketballs, got a gym called the Sty Dome, where they do a lot of programs out of there. So
Sty Dome on 116th Street?
No, the Sty Dome in Brooklyn. It's called the Sty Dome. It's a gym.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the legendary places you coached at, all right? Like the Wheelchair Classic, like the youth games and city games. Let me tell you something. We, as youngsters, will look forward to these things. And knowing that, we're going to get into it right now. Let's talk about the Wheelchair Classic first.
Okay.
You coached the Bronx team, correct?
Yes, I did.
What year did you coach? If you remember. Because I can pull it up. Hold on.
What year was that?
Hold on. I can tell you right now. Let me see. Hold on. I think I have it. 1989, 1993, 97, 98, 2003, 2005, 2007.
Yeah, I coached a lot of years.
Woo! So you coached some legendary players that came out of the Bronx in that Wheelchair Classic.
Yes. And yeah, I coached a lot of. I think I coached just about every player that come out, starting with Ron Artest.
Wow. He was the first?
So.
He was the first?
No, I say he's the last guy I coached of the named players. I think
he was the last. Oh,
he was the last one because I coached Kenny. I coached Kenny Anderson in the shootout. I coached Stephon Marbury in the shootout. I coached Johnny Wallace. I coached If you're there, you just keep naming. I coach a lot of them.
Woo!
Hamilton, I coach hundreds of them.
The real Charles Jones told me to tell you hello.
Who is that?
Charles Jones. Charles Jones just said to tell you hi.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Yes. Listen,
Coach
Haskins, Coach Ray Haskins, he's the godfather of our show. Okay? And he told me I needed to speak to you. He said, Glenn, you have to have Coach Mathis on the show. Then I spoke to Coach Julius Allen, and Julius Allen said the same thing.
Thank you.
So
God,
you had
God,
two heavy hitters
God,
that nominated
they
you.
all like me.
You're the man.
Ray is a tremendous guy. He's a tremendous coach. Ray was a tremendous coach.
Yes, yes.
A tremendous coach.
Yes, Coach keeps me in tune with the guys that played in your era and beyond. He's my connect, right? Because on basketball heads, we talk about bridging the gap. And when I want to bridge the gap for the young guys, to bridge the gap to guys like yourself so they can know and never forget about Coach Johnny Mathis. Because I asked these guys and these females, who's the winningest program in New York City? Who has the most city championship? Who sent the most players to the NBA? No one knows. That is DeWitt Clinton. It's like DeWitt Clinton got forgot about.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
Kennedy, right? I'm from Lincoln. I played for Bobby Hartstein.
Bobby Hartstein.
Yes.
I know Bobby.
One day they'll be saying, you know, kids will forget about boys and girls. Kennedy, Jefferson, Lincoln, Malloy, you know, St. Ray's. We don't want that to happen.
Thanks. Appreciate
Definitely. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. So, Coach, you have won Bronx Coach of the Year on several occasions, New York City Coach of the Year 2005. Any other goals you chasing before it's all said and done?
that. Say that again?
I said, is there anything else that you would like, before it's all said and done, would you like people to remember about you?
Well, I tried my best. I tried my best and cared about the youth.
And you get a lot of people that would definitely agree with that as well. Okay, let's have some fun, Coach. Top 5 players from the Bronx. Playground, high school, college, or pro. Top 5.
Top 5 players?
Yes, from the Bronx.
Of all time?
Of all time, the ones that you think are the best, yes.
That I seen play in high school.
Either way. Okay, I'm gonna give you some help. I'm gonna give you some help. We're gonna count this down.
What? All right, the first one I start with the big man, I start with the forward is my son.
Your son?
Huh?
You said your son?
My son is a forward.
Woo! Okay, okay.
All right. Then I start with a guy named Bashir Ahmed that played for me. Corey Thompson from went to Walton. Was an outstanding player. And God, that's rough because I had Dwight Hardy. That was a player. And then
now you said your son JC is one of the top players in the Bronx ever.
Yes.
Yo, Jay, you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me that, Jay.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Nate Archibald, I think if you go high school. Then you got to have Willie Worsley.
Woo!
See, I mean, it's so hard. How you can't name him. Then it was a guy named, if you go way back, it was a guy named Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday was somebody that was real? It wasn't the guy for the Western?
Holliday went to Morris.
Woo! Wow!
One eye, they could shoot the basketball.
Oh, he had one eye?
Yeah, he could shoot. His name Holliday. He could shoot the basketball.
Coach, I've never heard this before.
You never heard of Holliday?
No, the fact that he was a great shooter, he only had one eye. I've never heard that before.
Who else? I'm trying to think.
Coach, what's the toughest playground to play in the Bronx?
The toughest playground at one time was the 10 at 166th Street. Forest Playground.
Forest Playground, I heard about that.
Because that's where the Big Ten used to play. The Big Ten started out there. They're between
really?
Between there and 99 Schoolyard and 166th Street with the Big Ten. They go way back. A lot of the old timers started there. They were real tough. Lefty John.
I need to get up to the Bronx and visit some of their playgrounds. I definitely.
Yeah, I
said I need to go to the Bronx and visit some of their playgrounds. I've been to all other boroughs besides Staten Island and the Bronx, and I need to go there soon when it warms up.
Well, Forest Playground, I don't know. I don't know how tough it is now, but it used to be. I don't know now. But they still have tournaments there, I think.
Okay.
They named the
all right, Coach.
Skinny Reed there. I don't know if you ever heard of Skinny Reed.
Who's that? Skinny Reed.
Well, he was a referee. They named the park after him there.
And that's a park that. Okay. I'll ask Coach definitely. Coach, last question. What are your thoughts on reclassing back?
Say what?
What are your thoughts on reclassing back?
Oh, I don't think you should do that. I don't agree with that. I really don't agree with it. I really don't. I know guys most of them I think are confused anyway, but they need to just work on the class and do their work and try to graduate and do the best they can.
That's very true.
And try to graduate. I think that's what they need to do. If they're young, then do actually in the G League. So,
well, I'm gonna leave you with this, Coach, with saying that because I do agree that the last #1 ranked player in America who was an NBA All-Star happened in 2005. So I tell kids, if you reclassing so you can get a ranking or you reclassing for selfish reasons, you should be focused on working hard and being a good student, and everything will take care of itself.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we come to the end of the show. I want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure to sit down and have a conversation with you. Is there anyone that you would like to nominate to be on the show?
Willie Worsley.
If you got contacts with them, you can make it. If you make it happen, we gonna have them all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna do that. I appreciate that, Coach.
Okay, now.
Yeah. So, and we want to schedule and get JC on too, because he forgot to tell me some things.
Who, JC?
I'm glad you blew him up.
JC, okay.
Huh?
I think he'll make a great guest.
Yeah. So you got two. So we're gonna do Willie Worsley and we're gonna do JC.
Yeah, okay. That's
all
good.
right. All right.
We appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Yes, and listen, I usually have my artist here. Let me show you. Right?
Uh-huh.
I have an artist on the show, but he just received his master's, and he's still out celebrating. So he will have your picture tomorrow. So if you come in tomorrow after if you want to watch the Charlie Scott interview, because I have Charlie Scott on tomorrow.
Tell Charlie I say hello.
Yes, I definitely will. And we'll have your picture tomorrow as well.
Okay. Thank you very
So
much.
tell JC to tune in.
Okay. Thank you, and God
All right?
bless.
God bless you too, Coach. Thank you. Wow. You talking about history. And tomorrow's Black History Month. This is crazy. More history tomorrow. We got New York City legend, North Carolina great, and NBA veteran, Charlie Scott. I don't think y'all heard me. Charlie Scott will be in the building tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Make sure you tuned in. Salute to Coach Mathis. Thank you for everything you've done for New York City. And we are Basketball Heads Live. Want to shout out Game Over, our sponsor, and let you know we are Basketball Heads Live, the official home for New York City basketball. Peace.